Okay.
We can call the meeting to order at 7:02. 3, excuse me.
You are.
Ready to say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Okay, we have Kate Beauprelant, Kathy Grant, Erica Calvaro, Sarah Thompson, Christopher Wilson, Valerie Musciano, and Megan Wicks are absent. Also present, we have Adam Burrows, Superintendent, Amy Cefaletto, Principal, and myself, Dee Dee Jackman, Board of Ed Clerk.
I'll read the mission statement. The Voluntown Board of Education's mission is to provide our students the skills essential to reach their highest potential in a safe environment for learning as they aspire to become responsible, respectful, and civic-minded members of society. We commit to help educate, challenge, and inspire each child to excel as lifelong learners who can adapt constructively in an ever-changing multicultural and technological world. Okay. Have we received any citizens' comments?
No.
That we heard?
That I haven't.
Any other comments? Okay.
Did you want to?
Joining. We don't have any guests this evening. I know we were, you might have a guest come from NFA next board meeting, but we decided to just submit their report. They submitted their report, so yep. Okay, well, this agenda, just as a brief review, looks pretty tidy and short, so hopefully we can get through things in an efficient way and manner and get through this holiday session. All right, so we have the consent agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to review, or do we have a motion to accept as presented? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? None heard? Motion passes. Okay, great. We'll just move into the administrative reports then.
My report was in the packet. Just a couple of highlights. We had, First World always comes each year and does a holiday showcase for us. They are awesome. We did extend to NFA and Wheeler if they'd like to come this year or next year with their performances. We have a lot of kids who are in both, band and chorus there, so it'd be great to have them come. We started our basketball and cheerleading season. One of the things that is a highlight in up and coming, our Honor Society is really driven to do some community service, but for the school community. And they are very eager to design and raise money so they can put an eagle back in the center of the gym for all students. So they get to design, what the eagle will look like, what will be around the circle. A lot of middle and high schools have that, so it's something that they're really amped up about. They are, sports, they're athletes, so that. So that is something for them as a service project that they're looking to do. So that'll be in the coming months. Other than that, next Friday is early dismissal, and then we'll be off until January 1st.
Busy time of year.
Busy time, a lot of things going on.
I must say, the first holiday concert was tonight, and it was
really
delightful.
Third grade did a really good job with those little boxes.
Yeah, they were all so cute. Just the outfits they put on, they're just, they're really lovely. Mrs. School does an amazing job with the concert, so, and especially with the change of dates, so it's like being flexible for everyone, and all the parents being flexible, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much. Any questions for Mrs. Cefaletto?
Hi.
Okay. We can move on to the Director of Student Services report.
We're gonna delay that until January.
Okay. Then we can move to.
You have my calendar of events. You also have the enrollment. We've returned $13,218.43 to the town. There's a meeting scheduled for the Voluntown Board of Ed in your packet for 2025. please note that our board meetings will begin at 6, not 7.
We'll remind you.
Still go to 10. No, they will not.
We have,
Bite your tongue.
you have a listing of the committees and the teams that meet. And on the front page, they're the committees where board members serve and represented, and the ones on the back side are the working committees for the faculty to meet and to further develop and research projects. I just wanted you to note that I attended a superintendent's meeting, and it was about shared services. And it was from somebody from the Barkhamsted region, but in 1960, they created shared services for special education. And they have fully developed that among 5 towns. But here, we use Learn and we use EastCon for shared services. Plus, we develop our own shared services, and we do that with transportation as needed. We have a social worker that we work with. We have a little bit of help with our shortage of drivers with another school district, and they helped us out. Now, there's something that's developing statewide, and it's related to ECS, the Education Cost Sharing Grant. And as you know, we have been at $2,117,243 for the last 6 years. Previously, that was as high as 2.5 million. There is still a formula out there that's in existence by the School Finance Project, which is a nonprofit group that has a formula for distribution of our funds. The state legislature has overridden that formula for all of these years. But there's talk about implementing this School Finance Project formula, which, based on what I've observed, would give us close to a $680,000 cut in state funds, which is significant. And as I said, I've been writing to state legislators. And now there's another memo that came out with shared services. And there's a new effort to talk about shared services among school districts related to the ECS formula. And from what I gather and from experience, it's one of these things where the state may offer an incentive and give you more funding, but in 1979, the state offered a school district extra funding. They paid for 80% of a building project if they regionalized. The town took it, but now the state reverts back to other formulas, and they only offer 23% to that town. So I'm just attending meetings and reviewing that because, as you know, I've been keeping you informed about the ECS formula for the last 5 or 6 years. We're holding our own, but I want to make sure that the Board of Ed and the citizens in this town know that this Board of Ed over the years has really been very conscientious about the budget and about implementing programs. And the state may be quick to say, oh, do this, oh, do that, but the issue here is that our school site governance has been able to create appropriate programs for students. And if you are talking to state legislators, please beg them to continue to override that formula, because that would be devastating. But it's the new words shared services which we are already doing and have been effectively doing over the years. I think that was all that I had. I did receive a legislative packet from the State Department of Education and some of the new opportunities to support students and disabilities. I didn't make copies for you, but I might pass that around just to the board members to take a look. I think that you're very much familiar with some of the things that you received from CABE. You have policy highlights from CABE in the packet, and that's just to keep you updated. Kate, I'm all done.
Well, every
Okay.
time, thank you so much. Any questions for Mr. Bars? Lots more to cover.
Where am I, the budget?
Yeah, so that's, and number
We
one.
have our calendar of events for the budget. As you know, January 9th, you get the first budget proposal for 25-26. And this has been requiring a lot of work because there are some challenges that have been happening, but we're reviewing that very, very carefully. I think that's it, Dave.
Item number 2, safety on Route 138. I actually followed up, as you know, I think between last meeting and this meeting, we've seen our beautiful signs get erected and start working properly. I don't know if you've had the pleasure of driving through when there's been bus traffic, but it does blink and shine bright whenever you go by and give you your speed. So Tracy, I did send her a thank you note for all the work that she did to help us get this implemented. It's been a long 2 years, but obviously all the permitting and all the just pushback they had to get through the representatives and so forth just to get it done. It takes a lot of effort and is very much appreciated. She did mention that they can track the speed limit, the speeds on traffic going through at all times. So that's interesting. They have access to the data in a cloud-based system, and they have it paid for 7 years. So that's, I mean, it's good for any reasons if there's any accidents or whatnot. And then Brian has Mr. Callio has access to the cloud program and the data, and the Board of Selectmen as a local traffic authority receive information regularly as well. They did receive a request about the position of where one of the signs is. A local resident was, asking that it be moved because it's pretty much right in their front yard. So I think they're working on, it's gotta be, again, re-permitted with the state, so they're gonna work on that, but that was just an update. Yeah.
It took us, 2.5 years to get this sign up?
Yeah, I think there's some things that are also being blocked by the sign, so it's
Other
just,
signs are blocking.
yeah, our sign's blocking another safety sign, so they've got to adjust it somehow.
I think once we get 6 months of data, it would be interesting to take a look at that, see what the average speed is in general. Definitely during school hours would probably be kind of eye-opening. And if it's too eye-opening, we could maybe submit it to the state and get more traffic enforcement or measures to get traffic to slow down.
Yeah, but this is, I'm curious of what Brian feels about just general his crosswalk situations since having them. I've noticed, I mean, the cars are driving slower.
Yeah.
You can just
I was
tell.
like, what's going on? Twilight Zone, like, what's going on? It was great.
It is great, I think that's, just a wonderful update for that, so. Thank you again to everyone in the town that helped get that erected and implemented. And then, any other questions for Tracy I can share? Okay. Then we move on to item number 3, the transportation update.
Okay, in your packet, you have an agenda reporting form that has an RFP for the replacement of the buses. And we have an RFP that we're going to issue on January 6th at 2 p.m. And then the bid questions will take place on January 13th. And then the bid dues are January 21st. And the transportation meeting committee will meet on January 23rd. We will interview potential vendors, and then we project a delivery date, if everything goes well, on August 1st, 2025. Now, I gave you a list of the transportation costs within the report, and for next year, our budget is increasing with transportation. Our current buses are 9 years old, and the maintenance for the 9-year-old diesel engines have increased. Now, the proposal is for gasoline engines rather than diesel because there's a mandate that's coming up with no more diesel buses by 2030. The diesel engines are supposed to give you more mileage, but in the process, at the purchase of the last buses, they mandated an additive to the engines called DEF. And DEF burns out the turbochargers, and to replace the turbochargers in the bus, was around $11,000, which is a very expensive repair. So in the development of protecting the environment, it is really costing. Our repair notices have gone up. Now, in the packet, you have a copy of the RFP that has been developed in connection with the town because they're issued through the advertising website of the town. It's been reviewed by the town. It's been reviewed by Kerma. They have a special bid, offering. And, we have looked and gone through legal advice with this. But the issue is to document that the Board of Education has authorized the release of this RFP, which means that I would like a motion. Now, in your packet, there's the projected cost for the bus replacement. And a bus, a 77-passenger bus now is projected to cost $147,296. And then we want 5 77 passengers and 3 41 passengers. And the total for that is $1,155,000. Rough estimates, projection for trading in and the down payment. So we may be looking to finance $865,508 roughly over 5 or 6 years, depending upon what our budget looks like and the payments that we can make. Now, down below is the background information from April 14th, 2016, and the buses at that time, the diesel buses cost, that was 9 years ago, $83,200. The 2-passenger 36 ones were $80,400 apiece. We were able to trade in our old buses for about $230, and we financed $460,000 9 years ago. We did pay that off in 3 years because we were looking to make sure that we could eliminate any debt that we can have. We have options that we're looking at. I just received something from California where they'll give you a $180,000 rebate on an electric bus. An electric bus cost about $376,000.
What about
In
hybrid?
addition to that, we would have to put in a whole infrastructure for charging, and then we would have to look at maintenance services and other things.
Adam,
Yeah,
what about hybrids? If we have to go gasoline,
there's another, we're checking out the prices for propane, and we're asking the companies if they have a propane option, can they give us a choice? Canterbury, Chris, went with propane. So we've been in communication with them, and the vendors that we're working with would be able to give us a quote, so we have to review those, and we have to review, what's available. So we're going with a quote on gasoline, but with an option for propane, and if there's anything they can recommend for the electric buses, that's fine, but there's a lot of issues surrounding that would require us to have some tremendous infrastructure costs. I'm not sure where eventually this is going, but I will say the budget this past year was almost $100,000 for repairs. And if we buy the new buses, that price for repairs could drop down to just regular maintenance, which might be about $15,000. So I would like to see the board give us the motion to proceed with the RFP process. We'll see what prices we get. The Transportation Committee will review this, and we'll see how we can do this. And we do have some flexibility, as I said, with the lease purchase that we successfully used in the past. So this is where we are with the replacement of buses. Yeah, Chris?
Have we had the consultant yet look at what we need for buses? That we authorized at the last meeting?
We're pretty solid with
Do we even have a consultant?
We did, yeah, the committee really looked at what's happening, and people will,
Do we have a consultant?
Well, I'm gonna talk about a
Yes or no?
consultant in a little while, but,
Well, then I think we should hold off on the buses until the consultant comes in and looks to see,
So
maybe
you-
we don't need what we think we
And
need.
maybe you should come to the transport, they have gone over all these things, they know
I
what.
mean,
they're
clearly
doing with
this
the
is a
consultant.
disaster and a fresh,
It's not a disaster.
we voted for a fresh pair of eyes to look at it and make recommendations.
Not for the,
And I don't feel
Not for the
comfortable
buses.
spending
Not for the
millions
buses.
of dollars.
We're talking
I think
about
it's two
routes.
different things.
Two different things.
Well, no, a consultant would look over the entire transportation. Would
So
be
you're
the,
saying that, okay, to come in and.
we were
and to
talking
see
about
what
trade
buses
consultant, not
we
bus.
need or don't need. I mean, maybe we don't need the 70 and the 40 passenger buses count that have been presented to us. And
Well,
we
you
did
use-
authorize a consultant,
yeah.
and we don't have one, and that's concerning.
We have one.
We have one.
We
have
have
two-
one on bus
Two
routes.
separate things, so
Who,
one,
where?
we're utilizing
We're
a
going to discuss
consultant
it.
when we talk about the transportation routes. You're talking about consultant for to evaluate the actual
We
Right,
physical
looking
vehicle,
at the
yeah.
routes, they should be able to decide what buses we do or don't need. As well as timing, and that's what I was thinking of with the consultant.
I mean, we can ask, but I don't know if this person's forte is in that. That might be another person.
And we
I
have
don't know.
full buses, Chris, pretty much all the time. We don't have empty buses.
I was gonna say, I don't know how much that, I know what you're asking about, Chris, but I don't know from just having done it, the transportation committee, if that would actually change the outcome of what we,
The buses we,
the buses we need. I think at the end of the day, what we're doing with the buses is we're moving to, I think it's to get larger buses. If I remember correctly, we have, the smaller buses we have today are 36 passenger, and they're moving to, I think, 41 or 47.
with declining enrollment,
It's more.
so let's just give it to the taxpayers.
Well, things can be done in parallel. We need to go out to bid because the buses need to be replaced. The number of buses, we can determine
Once we get the.
during the RFP process. In the meantime, there's a second part to this discussion that we would like to get to, and that may determine the amount of vehicles that we have. So just because you're approving the RFP doesn't mean that you're approving 5
Purchase.
vehicles and 3. You're approving, finding out what's available, what the costs might be. In the meantime, we're reviewing bus routes and working with a consultant to determine the best routes and the number of students. And that's the second part of this piece. If you delay going out for the bid process, then you may be looking at replacement of the buses not on August 1st, but at a later date that would require additional service and other things for the buses that we have. But, if the board wants to do that, then we can, delay purchasing any buses and wait until we have more information. But we have been researching, we've driven electric buses, we're reviewing propane buses. We have people that we're checking within the area that have their own transportation companies, and we're working with those experiences.
Well, thank you, Adam. I know with the Transportation Committee put forth that we go forward with the RFP, so that we were just going to present it at this board meeting. So we have just a motion to move forward with the RFP process. It's not specifically, this is an information gathering process. So if we have, I think we're asking for a motion for that.
Right, just before the motion happens, I think there's one or two typos just in the RFP. I'm making those corrections, Dee Dee, I'll give them to you. It's just about clarifying if it's a 41 or a 47 passenger.
Okay.
Well, the papers say two different things, yeah, so, that's one. The second is just I'm writing a note, since we are also looking at propane, do we need to include that in the specification of requirements? So I'm fine with having the motion, making the appropriate
Oh, right,
copy edits,
copy edits to the
as
RFP,
needed.
yes.
It doesn't need to hold up the motion, but just for,
Thank you, no,
Yeah.
thank you for,
How would you amend that once it's out and people are bidding on it? You have to pull it and send out another one?
No, she's talking,
Once-
we fix it before we send it out.
yeah,
I
I
just
just,
need edits now on what everyone agreed to at transportation.
yeah, I just wanna give Adam and others the flexibility that we can
Yeah.
put a motion, ideally approve it, and then if they need to adjust what's written here, we don't need to see it again.
Yeah,
So
with
with
the,
that-
with the motion, you're right, Sarah. The motion would be approve the RFP with options for,
Editing,
yes.
yes.
And we can add the options
Thank you.
based on the discussions that we
And
had.
edits on signs.
So with that, I will make a motion to approve the RFP with edits as needed.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard, motion passes.
This is worse than the budget part.
Okay, number two.
We have
And the
tremendous.
second part, yeah.
Yes.
Who wants to begin?
So the second part of the transportation update is a transportation update about routes. Myself, Sarah, Kate, Kathy, and a few other members of the transportation committee met the past 2 Mondays, quite at length, discussing one whole meeting was discussed regarding routes, and the second meeting was discussing buses and additional transportation. In the board packet, you'll see there is a 4-page document that was provided at the transportation meeting that I clarified many of the questions that were asked and what those questions meant in terms for us. I provided a lot of information about how many CDL drivers we have, van drivers, monitors, all the routes we provide. There are routes that also are not listed on our list because we provide special transportation for students in special education settings. So I included those in that. In the document, it talks about, I provided the times and the minutes of, what happens when, how, what the transfers look like, the start times, where they're going for elementary pickup. We went through all that information. We went through the information on some suggested. So Anne had gone through and did all the standalone run times, and we put those in there so we could see on paper what those look like. We talked about what it would look like what the concerns were and what the adjustments were made. We talked about that in depth. Let's see here, we talked about the complexity of figuring out routes and then projection of what could be to come in 25, 26. So we did We are engaged with a consultant, who operates out of, Preston. And so he, is a person who, one, drives us as a substitute, he's the director of transportation there, has lived in Voluntown, knows all the routes. So he is going to come in and we will be under contract with him and looking at all of our bus routes, elementary and high school, and determining if there's anything that we can do either in the moment now or projected to the future with all of our high schools. One of the things that we are working on, Ann and I, and she has started already, and we talked about this as a possibility for the 25-26 school year, is taking our high schools and breaking them into 2 groups. So 3 would be 1, and they would start earlier. The other 3 would be later and start later for their routes. And so just figuring out the complexities of that, what to do when there's a driver absent. Right now, if there's a driver absent and you have 6 buses, somebody swoops in and picks somebody up. But if you only have 3 buses in one cohort and 3 in another, you have to be able to determine, can we do a pickup or that and that time. We had gone through making, what adjustments
I just won't step on
what adjustments we talked about making, for now, and Wheeler had offered a stop
Thank
that
you.
hadn't been accessed by anyone, but they had been gracious in offering that. We talked about, delaying our time from here a little bit, going down to Wheeler. We talked about making adjustments for, who's riding a van versus who's riding a bus. And it's just the complexity of where kids live at this point. So we are working on all of those things, though we don't have any other measures right now. We have started working on the route division for the next year, and hopefully that alleviates some of this process. And with Brendan coming in, hopefully that gives somebody else an opportunity to look at our routes and be able to tell us, like, are these the most effective routes that we could be doing for that. Questions came up about high schools and high school choices, is it appropriate to have that? This came up at transportation because of the geographic locations of some of these high schools. That's another very complex issue. You are required by state law to have a BOE program. So that is in state statute. So we do have a BOE program and a tech school that's north of us. A lot of our schools are more towards the southern region. In order to do a layover of time for kids to not, let's say, go to Ellis, that would take 4 to 7 years to be able to say, because as you have classes that come through and graduate. And then if you would need to order another tech school, and tech schools are free. So for us, that's, a big deal, and switching to Grasso, or even Ledyard if they have tech, somewhere closer in all of us going down in that area. I'm not sure if our community would be a fan of that, because a lot of our families and parents have graduated, from Ellis and up north. So that's another contender there. So those are just things that we've talked about, how can we streamline those pieces. NFA, Griswold, and Wheeler now are really our bigger schools. And so hopefully, we can find a fix within that route. So the first step will be Brendan coming in and taking a look at that and working with Ann and developing that route. And then hopefully projections for the fall. We can have it remedied to a point where, it's appropriate length of time, appropriate for everybody, based on all of their end and start times. So Dee, does the board packet go online when this is done, or no?
The packet itself? No.
No, I'm happy to,
We haven't.
if you'd like, I'm happy to share, that document with the concerned citizen, just so that way then that information is reflected with all the questions. Here's the concerned citizen. Just so that way then it's, all the questions have been answered from, all the, asks that have been given in that document. And I think that might shed some light on the different complexities of, the busing. So we are still working on it, it's still on our burner. It's, quite a process as we just, I don't know if anybody else has anything to say, but.
Can I ask you a question before, can I just maybe add 2 other points of color to the conversation of the transportation committee? I think the other thing that became apparent when we were talking about it is that regardless of the number of high schools we have or the times, we do have a fundamental issue that we need to address around, the bus drivers and the number of bus drivers we have. In looking at and planning for just capacity, I think one of the things that was just evident was that some of the strain is also around like salaries for the bus drivers and other things, and just like
Recruitment.
hiring and recruitment has been challenging and difficult. And so, just to sort of put a more nuanced point on, while we may not want to have to consider looking at high schools, I think that may become something that has to come up for discussion, because I think it became really clear the operational hurdles that the transportation department is under, in looking at staffing and being able to keep all buses running to schools. And so that's not maybe something we have to delve into tonight, but I do think the board should probably have a session around looking at this as after we have a consultant, like to come back and sort of look at things holistically. I don't think it's really the transportation committee's job to sort of make, I think their recommendation was to say we might need to look at high schools, and we need to do that potentially. So I just wanna call that out, but just, I think that was one of the things that
Or
was.
different category,
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be funny.
And see,
Yeah.
one of the things was talking about, we need a BOAG program, and whether Ledger could provide that BOAG. And then we're going completely south of Voluntown with all that, but we're not going up to Killingly High School BOAG for one student and stuff. We're dropping Killingly, and we have no students there, and going to Ledger.
This is
Yeah.
just pie in the
Yeah.
sky. Rambling,
Yes.
we were rambling, we're not doing this,
But
that's
like,
fair.
but my question is like, when you project who's going, you don't know who's going where, correct, for your eighth graders? Like, how do you,
So right
how do
now,
you fold that in when you think kids graduating versus the
Right.
incoming and where they're located in town
yeah,
versus what high school choice that they're having? So I would predict that a lot of last minute decisions might be made
sometimes, I
because-
mean, the high school process starts, I mean, you guys, most of you know, starts
Okay.
early, right? So,
Okay.
you know, September, Jackie is already sending out emails,
Mhm.
you know, and your selection process really is done by February, so, you know, and we already start looking then, you know, so we've already started looking at a list, but if you don't get into tech, then you gotta be added to another bus, right? So that does change things, and those things do happen and change, or if kids move in, and the high school they select. So we can do a tentative preliminary run, but we can't do a finalized run until everybody gets their acceptances
Yeah.
to where they go,
And there
where
was
they're
this
going.
question of whether ultimately over time, would we be dropping Ellis in place of Grasso?
Well,
Because then everybody, can they offer the same
well, that's
thing?
my next question.
Yeah.
Right.
I know they offer various
That has
trades
to
and
be
it's like.
looked into.
And is it logistical? I don't
Yeah.
even know where Grasso is, like in relation to NFA, Norwich.
It's right next to.
Marine,
it's
I mean,
a mile
I don't
out.
know. Yeah, okay,
It's
so
a rock, Long Point.
it's,
Long
yeah,
Point.
so like, is that in that vicinity? You know, I don't know, like logistically,
Yeah, it's
Does
a
it make
strategic,
sense?
it's a
Yeah.
strategic, you
Like,
know,
is it strategic? I don't
consideration
know.
that would be
For
part
volunteer,
of that.
everything's far.
I'm
It's
just,
a lot farther than Wheeler,
Well,
Yes.
much farther than
Well,
Wheeler.
yeah,
well, we're already going down marine science and stuff, which is
Yeah,
right
that's
next.
right, so
right
that would
almost
be-
next
yeah.
door.
Yeah, it's right, yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
almost next door. The talk was of trying to move eventually everything south, if we could, as opposed to running one bus up to Ellis. We have nobody at the Killingly Middle School.
or
We have
QMC.
no, there's gonna be a middle school, a college there. And to drop that eventually as an option, and to find out if we can provide that legend, exactly what Killingly High School is already given, we have nobody in those schools. So that could be done, we don't have anybody going there, so the thought was we would finish up anybody who's at Ellis or planning to go this year, and then look forward to, can we get rid of some of these things where we have one person going to the school 30, 40 miles north of here, and have them all going, Legend would be on, it's south of here, you know, these places are south of here. Legend could replace Killingly BOAG, if they have a BOAG program, but you need that BOAG program for your schools as a choice. And that could have been at middle college school, I don't think we've ever sent anybody there, have we?
Maybe over the years, one or
Maybe,
1
yeah.
to 5 kids, maybe,
Well, and
yeah, I mean, but a long time since I've been here,
Yeah.
like, It's not many.
But it's like, at some point, with the bus situation and everything, how far, do we want to really have 100-mile radius we're driving south and north? Or do we want to try to condense it more, mostly south of Allentown, to save money and save drivers and,
So a lot of work has been going into this.
yeah, they can
Tremendous
spend
Yeah.
Yeah.
and stuff, but,
A
All
lot
this
of,
research is gonna
I'm
be given
sorry.
to that, sorry, to this. This is what this consultant asked for, is all this research that you guys have been doing for
yeah,
the last 2 days.
No, we're gonna provide that to him.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
something we
yeah,
did for the,
yeah.
yes,
That's
yeah,
what he's gonna.
yeah.
These are based on the transportation committee.
Yeah,
meeting,
right,
so-
okay.
what about some of our outplacements for identified students?
yes,
Well,
there's
that's a
so much
whole-
you can do, that's a whole different ball of
Special
wax,
transportation
That's special
usually,
transportation.
you know.
yeah.
And the legal,
Yeah.
impacts of
That's
some of
nothing
these
you can't look at and
considerations.
try to
Well, we can look at it, but,
switch programs or suggest.
but there are those two schools that we have nobody going to, and as far as we know, nobody planning on going to this year.
Yeah,
That probably, if we could pick up Ledger, could probably be dropped off the list and eliminate,
Ledger has an interesting,
eliminate some of these northern schools.
Then we should also look at the cost, what's the
Yeah,
cost of
what the
Ledyard
cost-
versus Killingly,
Right.
you know,
There is
if
a
it's,
cost.
if it's $5,000 to $8,000 more?
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, I don't know the answer to that, like, what
Yeah.
would
That's
be
why it's on
the-
the strategic
Yeah.
part of the
Oh,
follow-ups to this meeting, right?
Yeah.
I think we have a lot to look into.
And can,
it's a much
Grasso.
different atmosphere than Ellis.
Yes,
and can Grasso provide what Ellis provides, class for class,
right.
trade for trade, and we haven't gotten that far looking into all that. But that school is down right near Marine Magnet, it's south of Wheeler, it's south of,
I know where
it was the
Grasso is.
question of trying to consolidate. So we're not, one driver isn't driving to Danielson and then driving to Groton. The time and manpower take to do all that becomes
And that
more.
would take 7 years. Like
Well,
say
you
we
figure
make
you
a
have-
decision and,
I mean, you have kids
To
right
time it
now in
out.
6th and 7th grade who are like, I wanna go to Ellis, like,
Yeah.
what do you
you
say,
can't
you
deny
know?
that, right?
I mean,
I think
But
that, well, I
the
think
killing,
that's a
the
tough.
BOE.
that's the tough part,
That's-
right?
Yeah,
That's the tough
but
part.
I think there's also a recognition that like,
This change might be happening.
this
Yeah.
change is.
Right.
Correct,
change
and I think
is
over time, you
sustained.
just keep saying,
You
yeah,
can't
yeah.
sustain this.
It's not sustainable,
Right.
and
Go back
so-
4 years
I
maybe?
know.
Yeah, and the BOAG
No,
is
I-
much easier.
Not at all?
I mean, I think there's a question about the kids who are currently enrolled,
Yeah, we
Right.
have to keep
Right.
them.
but I think for anyone who's not currently enrolled, it's, a decision was changed, and I don't know what that means, if they could still enroll and parents can provide their own transportation, if that's an option, it's just not a designated high school for this town, and that,
And I think there's a lot
Is
of
what
like
it is.
legal things
Yeah.
that have to go when you select a designated high school, right? There's board policy on that, there's, we'd have to have contracts with them, we'd have to negotiate, with all that also, so it would take some time.
Yeah, and the
Before the
BOAG is
turnover.
the easiest to do, because we have nobody in the BOAG
Right.
program up in Killingly.
Right, that would really be
To
the
look
first.
into Ledger, that would be the easiest thing. to
That's a
eliminate.
state statute we have to
Yeah,
uphold?
yeah, have
Yes.
the BOAG,
Because we don't have that.
but especially, you gotta have that as an alternative. But that would eliminate two schools that we'd be driving up there for. Maybe for one student, that we can give them an equal as good or same, good or better at Ledger than we can at Killingly High School right now. There's nobody in the pipeline for that, and there's nobody there. That's one of the easier fixes. And that QMC, we don't have anybody going there, and I cannot remember when we've had somebody go in there. It's been a while. And so that's one that kind of dropped off. I'm sorry, we can't take questions from you.
I'll email it.
Oh, yeah, it's fine, but citizen comments, it have to come up during that.
So, in terms of advertising, I know we were discussing that, we normally just go through like the newsletter and then certain website, and then there's one other option that we're looking into or sending out to. I can't recall the name of it, what is it called? It's like,
Maybe like that. If not, then-
it's escaping me what we're gonna do for additional advertising, but, that was brought up as well. And then it addresses the salary item, so you can advertise all you want, but we have to think about that, where we're kind of competing against every local district, so that's an item that we'll discuss during executive session as well.
That pretty much everybody pays more than we do. So that's an issue, and that's all contractual and
Yeah, the amount
Yeah.
of, tremendous amount of work that Ann put forward and Amy put forward to get us to this point prepared, obviously, we had our meeting, I think it was the end of November, the transportation meeting, and, really just comb through this. It took us 2 hours to comb through, like fine tooth comb about all the valid questions and concerns and related to comments that came in, and then just our general, how each and every school we have, child's impacted from their pickups, to their wait times, to their, to their bell, to their, whatever it is impacted, was really, eye-opening, kind of, all
It's
that.
clear a lot of effort was,
Yeah, I really wanna thank Ann a lot for the work, put in, and I know it's been frustrating for a lot of levels, just to get to the bottom of everything, but it's so complicated, and I just have so much, so much respect for the work that the bus drivers do to just make it work and happen, because they're so understaffed, and it's really hard, so, just making note of that. But, we'll make this, so, this summary will be provided, and we'll do a summary, but, and make that available as well, and I think strategically look at the schools. Okay. Any other questions for Amy?
Just Amy, when do we think we'll get the readout from the consultant?
We're still devising his contract, his asked to be brought forth, first. So I would say hopefully by the February meeting, whatever time he sees fit, so he has to agree upon his contract first before.
and again, I thank you and everybody else involved with this. It was a lot.
Thank you. Okay. Our next item is a bunch of policies. Policy 4222, paraeducators and Title I paraeducators. Second reading. I think it's all, it kind of looks like a rewrite of it. Is this a brand
Little
new?
Not brand new. No, the CABE updated it, changed the policy number. They were putting it into a different section and added information about Title I paras. It's a new title, I think, kind of thing.
Paraeducator, yeah, the wording is now paraeducator.
Yeah, and Title I para. I don't know why they separated them, but.
So the italicized is added or?
Correct.
That's a
Brand
lot
new.
added,
That's a lot added, I
It's
was
like
like,
a whole new policy.
yeah, I was like, holy moly.
Thanks, Dee Dee.
I didn't do it, CABE did it.
I'm like, this is,
With their lawyers. They have lawyers at CABE that.
so.
Write this stuff.
So it's just right from Cave that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
so-
Yankees and Valentine.
It just seems like a new parameter for paraeducators, so I feel like I wanna make sure that we're comfortable that we're providing all of this.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, it's
It's qualifications and,
okay.
Dee Dee, so that part there on the bottom that says notice to parents. What,
Which
what,
page?
I guess my question would be to, like, what information we're providing. So teachers every year have to submit a form that says what their bachelor's, master's, 6th year, all that stuff is in, right? So we keep that, if a parent comes in, they can do that. Is that, I guess my question would be, is that,
This is,
You would-
it's specifically saying that provided to parents of students enrolled
They requested
in a
information.
targeted assistance program.
I mean, what information could you give them besides that they have
About
a
a parent,
CPA
no.
or an
Credentials, no
associate?
personal.
I mean,
Right,
right?
I would think they would, put that, yes, they have this
Yeah.
qualification, they have that,
Maybe that's what it is.
You know,
Certification.
Yeah.
Something.
because it's very clear what
Yeah,
they
you
want
can't
the
just-
newly hired into the program.
mhm.
Yeah,
So I think a grandfather's other people in, it sounds like, newly hired means.
I think there's a lot to it, it's going to confuse a lot of districts for a little bit.
yeah. Interesting.
We
Okay.
could-
That
we
was
could-
my only thought. No, it can go forward, we'll just
Yeah.
make sure we
'Cause
have
we
a
could
sheet
change
that
the
has
word.
the,
Right, right.
you know, they can do the same credential paper.
I could,
Doesn't matter.
yeah, or I could ask Cabe if they have a sample of what that should entail.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Yeah, it says very clearly what the paraeducator has to have on the
right, oh, right there, yeah.
qualifications and stuff, so. We wouldn't be
Yeah, as long
hiring,
as we're, you know,
yeah, we
we're-
wouldn't
right,
be
'cause they take the
hiring
para-
people
right.
that don't have that and stuff. Motions, yeah, it's not, yeah.
we have a
I'll
motion
second.
to approve it as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Second, Kristen.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard, motion carries to approve as presented. All right, item number 5, policy 5141, spot 5, suicide prevention. This is the second reading.
My question is that, about like, suicide prevention. I know that we do something, through the health classes that's presented, but it's not just about distinctly, it's gently weaved, or not gently, but, you know, in high school, weaved into like, you know, appropriate mental health and good practices and whatever else. Is there anything like that that we do in terms of, because I know that we do need to do that every year, and it's
yeah.
a suicide prevention for faculty and for
Yeah.
students, so.
Rachel Sahu does that through
Okay.
her, she uses Second Step, and so it really is focused on like positive mental health, and, you know, if you're struggling more so than, you know, the whole, you know, suicide prevention, you know, that's hard for kids to
Yeah.
understand, and some kids have no knowledge of that, you
Yeah.
know, and
I
it's
think
very
we can
hard.
differentiate per
Yeah,
each.
Grade
yeah.
school.
So Rachel does that through her, she goes into classrooms weekly and bi-weekly,
Is that for junior high too, the 6th, 7th, 8th graders get,
yeah,
because they can
Yeah.
handle a more robust conversation about,
yes,
if you see somebody says something that's
Yes.
really concerning, you need to tell just an adult.
yes, yeah. And you know, a lot of times kids think it's funny until, you know, they know somebody or something has happened, and then, you know, because they think, well, it's never gonna be my friend, or it's never going to be, you know, so you hope that they pick up on those cues when things like that happen. But she does, so Rachel
Okay.
does do that.
Alright, okay.
It's sad, just,
And I do like seeing in the part that says an out-of-school attempt, there's something in there that says,
Yeah,
we
high
will
school.
notify the parents.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
There's
That's just
definitely things in there about notifying the parents and things.
Mhm.
And one of the things that we've recently worked on, which Terry Quintus has put together, through our crisis intervention team, a really in-depth suicide protocol, adapted from, I'm gonna say it's like NYU, so Terry has come up with that and put it through, so we, are reviewing that with our team, and like,
Oh, okay.
although it doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, you need to have a clear mind and be able to say, okay, this is what we're going to do.
We use one from Dr. Poland, who's, it's been standardized and used
Yeah,
widely, so if you wanna copy that. Too. Big basics, you need to prove like.
the basic, right? In
Yes,
that moment, you need the
this is a
basic,
yes,
what do you
and
do?
this is a no, then you go to here, this is a no, this is a yes,
Yeah,
you go
and
here,
that's
this is
kind of
a
like
yeah.
design, so,
on your end, you have to gear it towards younger,
yeah.
Yeah.
like youngsters more.
The questions are generally the same for any age group.
Any age.
Yeah, but how you like look at protective factors, risk factors, that's how'd you come to this is you know, that's different, but
Yeah.
yeah, questions are really.
Horrifying.
Is there, and I mean, we can't control what happens on the outside, but like, is there, I mean, typically, you know, a lot of things happen at home. You know, was there anything in here, I'm just like reading through it, like being contacted, like, you know, we ever said, like, there's open communication between home and
Yeah.
school, so we know, like, cause that, I mean, sometimes that's embarrassing for people, you know, they don't wanna share, but.
We
Well, it
could
says
have,
that we would notify the student's family,
Yeah,
something
you-
happened
yeah.
in school.
Well, us, but if it's at home
Oh.
happening,
For the,
us being notified.
for the
Right,
parent,
Like,
that would be nice.
I know.
we could add that to it here, that
Oh,
But
You
there's,
can't-
well,
Make a
there's
parent
a thing
you
at the
could, you
end.
could do it as a suggestion, you know,
Yeah.
request parents
At
to
the end
notify,
about
but,
how the school
yeah,
attempts.
they could order them to.
right.
Okay, where is that?
At
Oh,
the
yeah.
very last,
Is
there's
there
some
Yeah.
stuff in there about how the school attempts.
Okay, it's
Okay.
about this, that person
Yeah.
just gets the information.
Oh, there we go,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Wow.
So that
Yes,
kind
yeah,
of,
okay, so
that
there we
covers
go.
us, if somebody's neighbor calls and says, I just wanted to say, the kid next door
Mhm.
is talking about getting a gun and shooting himself. We got that in there, that we immediately notify the parents, it's in the out of school part
Mhm.
of it.
But did you have to call the police for that too, or? I mean, somebody made that drastic of a.
There's just
Yeah.
two different risk things you're
Right.
talking about. There's
Right.
self-harm and socialization,
Right.
and there's also a risk to others, a threat to others.
Right.
Yeah,
To
this
the
is
threat to others,
suicide,
if yes, police need to be, they're often contacted, yes.
And it does say in that last page, Chris, about, you know, if it happens after school hours, if a staff member is aware, they could, there's a whole list, but
Yeah.
contacting the police
Is there
was
anything
one.
about well checkers, it's in there,
Mhm.
that's the only thing I didn't see it, but,
well checked by who,
well, for
staff
example,
going to homes.
yeah, just, or you send out,
A lot of times I'll send a trooper.
I'll send a trooper,
Yeah.
right, I'll call and say, could you do a well check?
Right.
I have information that is, you know, concerned blah, 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 blah. I make a phone call to the police to have to do a well check. If we want to talk about policy and procedure.
Mhm. I mean, again, on regulation, on the page C, the last page of the regulation,
Yeah.
on the top, that general procedures
All right, yep.
does say to contact the police. I mean, that would send them out.
There's a whole list, I
Anyways.
just found that.
Yeah,
Yeah, of risk factors and. I don't know, we have a better understanding than what the state has put out here,
I know,
what we
yeah.
should be doing for suicide, it seems fairly comprehensive.
The typo.
I made a typo.
I know.
I'll second Chris's motion.
As
I was
amended,
typing
as
just-
amended, okay.
We've got a motion to pass policy 5141, spot 5 as amended.
Okay, who seconded it? I missed.
Kathy,
Kathy.
Chris
Thank you.
put in the first, I put in the
Gotcha, thank you,
all in favor?
as
Aye.
amended.
Aye. Opposed? None heard, motion passes.
Typo.
second. There'll be more in these next.
Okay, policy 6148, the FAFSA completion program. A little less heavy.
It's just a new mandated one that CABE.
So why are we talking about the FAFSA and
In
a
a
junior?
I don't know.
Because we-
Why are we?
Yeah, we don't even need that.
This sounds like it's. I
think 'cause we- I mean, we have-
somebody homeschooled or something.
I don't
Oh,
know.
maybe,
Yeah,
I guess.
that's the only
Is
thing
that
I can
really?
think of, I don't know,
Would that
You know.
affect us?
If somebody in
The
high school
district?
is being homeschooled.
I guess, yeah, cause then
Yeah.
if they go to apply to college, technically they don't have a high school, they're
Yeah.
they're homeschooled, I guess.
Yeah, I guess,
Yeah, you wouldn't set up testing or
We
anything.
wouldn't do
Yeah.
anything for that,
Yeah,
or,
it's
or
just-
Yeah, a lot of our, most of our policies don't impact
I
the high school
I know.
level,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
and as I read this, it
Lo-
makes the high school responsible for getting it in,
Mhm.
not
Right.
us.
Yes.
The FAFSA?
Yeah, Yeah, the high school has to get the FAFSAs done by 27. Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah,
basically
it's
just all the
all high
support
school.
behind doing that, and they have
yeah.
to do it by the time they're
18 or something.
And stuff, yeah.
Well, this
Okay.
does say district adult education program, so like,
Okay.
Mhm.
does that, then are we responsible for, like, I don't know what that.
Well, in the high school adult programs, do we provide them or we send them someplace?
You send them to Griswold,
Yeah.
or do we have that?
No, we don't have it, we send it to
No.
Griswold, so it sounds like this is all part of high school that they have to
Okay.
do. Reading it, I read it a couple times, but,
So then do we need the policy?
You might not.
We don't need this policy
No.
then.
well, I don't,
I think it's fine, I think I would be,
It's a mandated policy, but again, we're not a high school, so I can ask them.
yeah, just clarify if we need it.
We can table it, or I can, if it's,
Just to
how
follow
about
up to
this?
see what.
I'll
is
ask
required.
Cabe, do we have to have it? And if they say no, it'll be gone.
Yeah.
So,
If we have to have it, my only question is the 100%
right, compliance,
completion rate, because I think I would just have a question of, at least I know FAFSA in the sense of applying to college, and if someone does not intend to pursue college,
Right.
post
no,
high
they
school.
still
Yeah.
have to fill it out now. Is my
Even if they
understanding,
join
I
the
read the
military,
articles about.
They get a waiver.
Crazy.
Well, I think that's what it says,
Yeah.
100% have to complete it.
Well, it says
Huh?
100% FAFSA completion rate, so
Right.
either we have to clarify that or an applicable waiver, but I don't think we can require someone to.
Because what if you're not going
No.
to?
Or if you have college.
No, if you join the
What if
middle,
you're-
like delayed enlistment,
Right.
you join while you're still in high school.
Mhm.
What if you don't want your information out there on a
Yeah,
FAFSA form,
I
you
just,
know?
Right.
I know,
You don't-
I know,
There's a lot of info. I would,
a lot of
Yeah,
it.
but if it's mandated, find out.
Yeah.
I will, yep, I'll find out. Okay,
We can check on that.
thank you.
I understand.
Tabled
Last
or
college now
removed?
is such a mess.
The high schools take care of this.
it's wrong,
Yeah,
it's
but-
8:04. I know.
Yeah.
I forgot to call Brian.
Exactly, we do, we have like FAFSA parties. We do, like, we have FAFSA, we get like.
Okay, item number 7, policy regulation 6172,
Crazy.
alternate education program.
You know I'm going.
So,
Is this a mandated policy too?
Yeah,
Yeah, and I guess again, we have to find out who would be responsible for this, since we more or less contract out our adult ed, we don't do it here through our school system.
Yeah, but I
This
think
is
this means
alternative.
alternative,
Right.
like, have to like offer.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's like Griswold alternative,
Yeah.
right,
Griswold,
like at NFA,
Norwich.
those
We have
programs,
Norwich
right? Yeah.
adult ed, so.
I mean,
Those towns have alternative high schools.
right, I don't think it's adult alternative, I think it's
It's
just
adult
regular
or
alternative.
It's a
I just
regular.
think it's regular.
Yeah, alternative.
Back in the
Just
past, they
so-
talked about adult ed.
High school.
Yeah.
Oh, alternative program.
Yes, that we have to,
That's part of,
Offered to students in a non-traditional.
that's under
Local.
special education.
I would think so,
So why would we need a separate policy?
Because there's lawyers and bureaucrats and
Mhm.
And
government.
then getting paid to do this.
Getting paid a lot of money.
yeah, I wonder where you're getting.
Okay, so, I mean, it's just. Again, another question I would say is,
all right, I'll listen,
This is all new.
Banana business.
Yeah. Yeah.
because
and
this all
again,
looks
it's
high school
mandated.
again,
Yeah.
same thing, okay,
It's not a choice, it's mandated.
it is,
Oh, it says the board may form a cooperative arrangement with other boards. And we're doing that with Griswold. And Norwich.
And knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, it just, it's interesting. Oh, it's separated out, I don't understand.
well, if you look above, we did have a policy that's just,
Yeah.
yeah,
so really, it's just detailing what we already do, so we did have a policy on it already.
Alright,
About an individualized education program.
okay.
So
Oh, PTA is right there.
Right,
I don't know
yeah.
how you can see it on that little screen.
I know, my computer died and I was like,
Oh,
oh, not
no.
prepared. Yeah, I gotta find it.
oh gosh, Amy, sorry.
Candy Crush over that now.
Yeah.
Now, this is
More and more.
an alternative education, is that places like the Learning Lab or?
Like TLC?
It could be.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, I would say that, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then they'd be the one providing,
They would,
Yeah.
right, they provide the education.
they'd be providing the paperwork and the faster, yeah.
Maybe this policy is meant to be that we can't just say, well, we don't have a program for the needs that you might have, you have to go to a regular high school, you know,
Yeah.
maybe that's the purpose of this. That, you know, we are responsible for providing it.
We want a committee too.
If you want, you can table it again. I think Lloyd will be here next month.
I mean, I don't know, if it's
I
required.
could email it to him to review.
It's a lot of
Yeah, okay, I think,
italics.
let's just have it reviewed one more time.
Okay.
Just to clarify kind of the intent of it, because it's just a bit,
Mhm.
It's a lot.
it's just, we went from like a, you know, 2 small paragraph
Yeah.
policy
Yeah.
to something
Yeah.
that's
That's a full.
So, yeah, you know,
seems to define it separately, so
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure that
Okay.
we're,
doing what we gotta do.
have an example of what we're doing and if it does apply to us.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Move out of order.
There's 4 more pages on what the alternative education is.
Right.
It goes on and on.
Sure does.
Yeah.
It's probably full of little unfunded mandates that don't tell you what's going on already.
Mhm.
The fuck.
Okay, well, we can move on to new business now.
Mhm.
We have, personnel update and looking for a motion to approve Nathan Mazurek as the volunteer boys basketball coach.
Motion, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is, but they always bring Nathan in, you know, to help and coach with him, so, you know, from our past conversations, I just wanted to make everybody aware.
That's just fair, yeah.
He said,
Make it official.
So that's it or something.
Yeah, sure. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Lastly, none heard? Well, you're official, Nathan. Okay. Great. So we have our school calendar for 2025-26.
Oh, yeah, the 25th we start next year?
Crazy.
Wise.
You're looking at the NFA calendar?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I was like, I didn't know this, I'm like,
Okay. I know we had a
Look when
chance to look at this a few times, but.
Look when NFA finishes. Look when NFA finishes. June 19th.
Oh, no, we, no, 8th to 11th, oh, I would have.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that was the Juneteenth, never
Exams,
mind.
8th to 11th, no, yeah, none of.
That's
Okay.
enough.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So snow days, we're proposing starting on the 27th as well.
So,
yeah.
yeah, I just have a question about Juneteenth. Does that become a paid holiday for us after Juneteenth? Because everybody's out of school by then.
Yeah.
We're long out of school by June 19th every year.
Well, if we're not in school, then no.
No,
Like paras and
Yeah.
Terry and that, like, that's
Yeah.
not part of their contract,
Yeah.
but I would think that if you, I would have to, I don't know their contract per se, but
Well,
like that
I'm sure-
might be a holiday that you could put in for if you have that holiday time.
Is that federal or state?
that's federal now.
Federal?
So I think it's on there,
Yeah,
you know, and if we go into session, sometimes we go that far.
Right, so we would have, right, I mean, I would
Well,
come
I
to
don't
school
know.
on that day, but I don't know
It's
if we
not-
can, if it's.
I don't know if
I'm
it's
not
in the contract. Does every federal holiday have to be in the contract? No.
I don't think so. I mean, we come on November
Yeah,
11th.
we have federal, I know at the hospital, there are federal holidays
Yeah,
that the union doesn't care if they get that day, they
right,
want
right,
a different day. They'd rather have
yeah.
bogus day on,
Right.
as opposed to Veterans Day, whatever.
That's where you just set the amount of holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
however
pick
many
and
holidays.
choose what you want,
Yeah,
here's your number.
and in contracts, they pick what holidays they
Right.
want and stuff, so that's pretty much.
Juneteenth doesn't come up as a holiday in our.
Oh, well, it's now a federal holiday, yeah, but if you're in the union, if it's not in this contract, then,
Right,
yeah, I know a number of hospital contracts anyway, don't want Veterans Day. other ones wanted, what did they want? Down at Lawrence, it wasn't Veterans Day, they wanted a different day off, voting day or something every year, they didn't want.
Yeah.
So it's not in their contract.
I always took Veterans Day off anywhere I worked, it didn't.
I know that was
Oh, we never
something to
said no.
consider from this year, was taking the Monday because it fell on a Monday.
Yeah.
So maybe give
You
that
have to
off,
work
just from
using
a
short
planning
record.
perspective, celebrate on Friday and give the full honor the day
Goes
for the
out.
weekend.
Well, I think it's nice what we do on Veterans Day here with the breakfast, it makes kids understand, the people that this affected down the line and stuff, it's not just a day off.
I think we're the only school that.
Yeah. Yeah,
But it doesn't.
Yeah, it's
I
really
have a
cool.
lot of people who,
Have them in calendars.
do they? Oh, I would love to see what
Yeah,
they
they
do,
do
because
that.
that's interesting.
Yeah, my
I
friends.
do have a lot of people who, we did say, like, should we take it off, you know, if we wanted, but I have a lot of older people who do like to comment and say, tell me every year, we look
Yeah.
forward to coming to
Yeah.
this.
Right, right.
So I'm like, okay, we'll keep going, we'll keep, you
I
know.
mean, I think we need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The celebration is
Whatever.
essential regardless of when
Yeah.
you do it, if it's the
Yeah.
Friday before.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's such a
So-
great honor.
Do we have to approve these now or no?
we have
No.
to prove, Adam, do we need the calendars now?
No,
Or
I don't
do we
think so.
wanna check with other schools when they're up? I see we have NFA, but not Griswold
Yeah.
or Wheeler.
I mean, it's pretty standard.
And I know the goal is to match up as much as we can.
yeah, it's interesting,
we had
because
so
some
many-
schools choose to do it after Labor Day, if it's an
Yeah.
early Labor Day, so you don't wanna put it out till like the 7th of
The
September,
June
but,
19th either.
right,
If there's a lot of snow days or.
That's it.
We can
we can
delay
wait.
another
Yeah.
month if we want to.
Right.
okay, we'll delay.
Mhm.
Mull that one over at home.
So there's always an edit here or there.
Right. Okay. And then our last item is the Board of Ed and Superintendent mid-year self-evaluations. I think in the packet, we have some descriptions.
Move this to executive session.
Yeah, we will. I
Yeah.
think just what's in the, what you have in the packet is just some samples, so mull over on.
Yeah.
So, great, we'll move that rest to executive session. And our upcoming meeting again is Thursday, January 9th at 6 p.m.
Are we going to 6 all the time?
We are,
Yeah, that's fine.
that's the, you know, like,
There you go,
Would you like me to say?
it's up to
Kate.
you.
I can say.
Do you want to do a motion to move that into executive session?
Amy?
Second,
Hold on.
To go into
Second, all in
executive
oh,
favor?
session.
Julie, I'm sorry.
we have a motion, well, we need a motion to, yeah, we have,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can also Jeannie too, if you want.
No, it's up to you.
We need a motion to exclude Adam in the executive session.
Executive session.
Okay, so that's Kathy.
What's up with that clock?
It's
Motion.
broken, just.
Sorry, and then we need a motion to move item number 3, the evaluations.
To the executive.
Oh, you
to
could
the
just
executive.
put it all in the same
Okay,
motion,
wanna make
I
a
don't
motion
care.
to- For me to come into executive session.
Yes.
You want Amy and Amy and Adam.
Yeah, we're on a roll,
That's
so the
one way
executive
to
session.
do
First motion, move item number 3 to executive session.
Yes, motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None heard, motion passes.
And
Second
then,
motion, to invite the superintendent into executive session.
and Amy,
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard, motion carries.
and Amy?
Third motion to invite the Succoletta, the principal, into executive session.
Motion.
Second.
Oh my
Pick
gosh,
anybody.
I'm
Pick
whatever.
anybody.
Everybody.
I picked the person
Not
with the shortest
everybody.
name to type it.
Do we have to do separate motions for all different people?
We do.
Okay. I didn't know, that. okay.
Okay.
At what time?
Yeah,
8:16.
So we will move to executive session at 8:16.
Okay.
That's one way to keep us on track. We don't even know what time it is.
Yeah,
I know.
Really off right now.
Oh, I know what time it is, I'm looking at my watch.
All right.
I can't wait to start it.